"You got any food, sir?" the thin woman whispered, holding two little kids who could barely stand up from hunger. He could have just handed over a chunk of bread and kept riding, but something in her voice hit him hard, reminded him of a promise he'd made months back beside a grave that was still fresh. And then he said the words that changed everything. "I'll take you and your kids to the ranch." It was a time when dusty backroads cut through the dry plains like open scars, carrying folks far away from everything they ever knew. Some chasing dreams, others running from nightmares. Late 1800s, when widows without family were invisible, orphan kids starved on the roadside, and good men were rarer than rain in a drought. Back then, a promise made to a dying mother weighed heavier than gold. And there were men who carried those promises in their chest like hot coals, burning, nagging, until the day they had to keep them. Men who lived alone not by choice, but by fate. Men with big ranches and empty houses, where the silence screamed louder than any voice. But sometimes, in the dust kicked up by a tired horse, fate sets up meetings that feel impossible. A desperate widow, two starving kids, and a man who just buried the only person who ever truly loved him. All of them lost, all of them needing, all of them about to learn that family isn't something you're born into, it's something you build brick by brick, choice by choice, promise by promise. Because this is one of those stories our grandfathers told when they wanted to teach us that kindness ain't weakness, a kept promise is worth more than land, and sometimes saving somebody else is the only way to save yourself. If you believe nobody should die alone, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below telling me what part of the country you're watching from. Let's ride these dusty roads together, where life taught us love can grow from hunger, from a promise, and from the guts to reach out a hand. Ricardo woke up before the sun, same as always, but this morning was different. He just lay there staring at the wooden ceiling, listening to the heavy quiet of an empty house. 6 months. 6 months since his mama passed, and the house that used to smell like fresh coffee and clanging pots was nothing but echoes and loneliness. He dragged himself up, washed his face in cold basin water, threw on his work clothes, leather pants, light shirt, vest, wide-brimmed hat. Caught his reflection in the cracked mirror, 38 years old, looking 50. Unshaven beard, tired eyes, new wrinkles that weren't there a year ago. Walked out to the yard. The ranch was beautiful, he'd admit that. 200 acres of good land, solid wood house, corral with 10 head of cattle, chicken coop, big garden. He'd built it all with his own 2 hands since he was 15. Should have been proud. But pride don't warm an empty bed or fill a silent table. Ate breakfast alone, stale bread, cheese, reheated coffee. Saddled up Cinnamon, his big brown horse that'd been with him 12 loyal years. Had to ride into town for supplies, salt, sugar, kerosene for the lamps. 2 solid hours on horseback. Sun climbed slow, painting the plains gold, pretty but cruel. That year's drought had been brutal. Folks losing everything, families kicked off land that couldn't feed them anymore. Ricardo thought about his mama. Remembered her last words, weak voice but strong spirit, squeezing his hand like she could still crush rocks. "Ricardo, my boy, you're good, hardworking, honest, but you're too alone. Loneliness kills slower than hunger. Promise me one thing." "Anything, mama." "Don't die alone like I'm dying. Build a family, find a good woman, have kids, even if they ain't blood, build a family, promise me." "I promise, mama." She smiled. Died 3 hours later, peaceful. Ricardo buried her proper, planted flowers on the grave, visited every week. He'd kept half the promise. The other half, building a family, he didn't even know where to start. Been married once, 15 years back. Lasted 3 years. Wife left saying he was too cold, too quiet, living with him was like living with stone. Since then, nothing. Plenty of women in town gave him looks, he had land, money, but he didn't want to be chosen for that. And he was scared to fail again. Halfway to town, he saw them. Off the side of the road, sitting on a rock, a young woman, way too thin, faded green dress caked in dust, blonde hair falling out of a messy bun. 2 tiny twins, boy and girl, couldn't be more than 4, curled up asleep against each other, heads together, barefoot and filthy. Ricardo reined in cinnamon, climbed down slow, walked over. The woman looked up, blue eyes sunken, scared. She jumped in front of the kids, like a mama wolf. "Ma'ams, you okay?" She didn't answer, just stared. Then, voice cracked from pride long gone, she whispered, "Sir, you got any food?" Ricardo looked at her, at those kids, tiny bare feet, hollow cheeks, torn clothes, and something inside him broke. Heard his mama's voice clear as day. Build a family, even if they ain't blood. Opened his saddlebag, pulled out bread, dried meat, a chunk of brown sugar candy. Handed it all over. The woman took it with shaking hands, broke it up for the kids. They woke up and ate like they'd never see food again, stuffing their mouths. "Slow down," Ricardo said gently, "you'll get sick." She made them slow down, then ate her share, crying silent tears. Ricardo waited. When they finished, he asked, "Where you headed?" "To some relatives, 3 days, walk." She hung her head. "We ran out of food 2 days ago, no money, I don't know what to do." "And the kids, Daddy?" "Died a year ago." Ricardo looked at those 3 souls, hungry, lost, nobody in the world, and heard his mama again. "Build a family." He spoke up. "Listen, I got a ranch not far from here. Plenty of food, beds, work if you want it. You and the kids can stay till you're back on your feet, till you save enough to keep traveling." The woman studied him, searching for lies, danger, anything bad. Found nothing but tired eyes and maybe, just maybe, kindness. "Okay," she whispered, "we'll take it." Ricardo nodded, scooped up the little girl. She weighed less than a feed sack. Boy climbed up in front of him. Woman slid on behind, arms light around his waist, scared to hold too tight. They rode toward the ranch, toward a promise about to be kept in a way none of them saw coming. If this story's already tugging at your heart, smash that like button so more folks can hear it. There's a whole lot more coming. The ride home was quiet. Ricardo felt the woman's light weight behind him, arms careful around his waist like she didn't want to bother him. Boy up front stayed awake, big eyes taking everything in. Little girl slept the whole way, worn out. They pulled up at noon, sun beating down on the woodhouse, corral, garden. Woman slid off the horse, looked around, surprised. It's beautiful." "It works," Ricardo said, helping the kids down. "Ain't fancy, but it's solid. Come on, I'll show you where you'll stay." Led them inside, big main room, table, chairs, kitchen with wood stove, 2 bedrooms. Opened the door to his mama's old room, clean, empty, bed still made up from after the funeral. He hadn't slept in there since. "This room's yours, bed's big enough for all 3. The woman looked at the room, then at him. "And you?" "I got the other room." Relief washed over her face. She hesitated, then said, "I never told you my name. I'm Helena. This here's Pedro and Clara." Ricardo nodded at the kids. "Ricardo, just call me that." Pedro hid behind his mama. Clara sucked her thumb, curious. "You folks probably want a bath," Ricardo said. "Tub out back, I'll heat water then fix a real meal. You need proper food." Helena started crying, not sad tears, grateful tears. "Thank you, Mr. Ricardo, thank you so much. We had nowhere left. I thought we were gonna die on that road." "Nobody dies here." He stepped out to fetch water, uncomfortable with all the feeling. That afternoon, while Helena and the kids bathed and put on clean clothes, old shirts of his tied up small, Ricardo cooked a real dinner, beef stew with vegetables, rice, beans. Simple but plenty. When he set the plates down, the kids' eyes lit up. They ate slow this time, savoring every bite. Pedro and Clara kept looking at Helena like she might vanish. She watched them back, protective as ever. "How old are they?" Ricardo asked. 4 twins look just alike. Helena gave her first real smile since he found her, small but true. "Pedro's the quiet one. Clara talks your ear off once she trusts you." "How long you been traveling?" 8 days, left the town we lived in after my husband died. Tried to stay but lost the house, no work. His family wouldn't help. Heard some cousins lived far away, decided to try. Sold everything for 3 days worth of food. then it was gone. She dropped her eyes. I know we look like beggars. You probably think I'm irresponsible, but I had no choice. It was walk or watch my Barbie starve. I ain't judging, Ricardo said, and he meant it. He'd seen too many good people forced into impossible choices in drought years. After supper, he tucked the kids in. They curled up in the big bed and were snoring in minutes. Helena stood in the doorway watching. 3 nights they barely slept, scared. Ricardo closed the door soft. They can sleep now, this place is safe. Back in the main room, Helena sat shy. Ricardo stood, unsure what to do with his hands. Look, he said, you don't know me from Adam. No reason to trust me, but I ain't gonna do nothing wrong. This is just help, nothing more. I know, she said, I feel it. Then quieter, what do you want in return? I can cook, clean, wash, I don't want to be dead weight. Then do that, you take care of the house, I take care of the land, we split the work. When you save enough to move on, you go, no debt, no strings. Helena nodded, deal, and thank you again, you don't know what this means. Ricardo just tipped his hat. But inside, something shifted. For the first time in 6 months, the house didn't feel hollow. It smelled like people, it sounded like life. And he realized he'd kept half his mama's promise, he'd brought people home. Now he just had to see if they'd stay. Have you ever helped somebody and expected nothing back? Drop it in the comments. His journey's just getting started. The first few days were awkward. Helena woke before dawn, made coffee, cleaned like the house was hers. The kids stuck to her like glue, scared to be alone. Ricardo worked the fields, fixed fences, tended cattle. Came in at noon to a set table, hot food, fresh bread, stuff he hadn't tasted in months. You don't have to do all this, he told her on day 3. I do, she said, you're giving us a roof, it's the least. He didn't argue, truth was, it felt good, real food, somebody to talk to over meals, even if the talk was short and shy. By day 5, Pedro and Clara started venturing out. Sat on the porch watching Ricardo work. He noticed but didn't push. Scared kids need time. Day 7, Pedro came over while Ricardo fixed a wagon wheel. Uncle, what you doing? The word uncle caught Ricardo off guard, but it fit. He wasn't daddy, wasn't grandpa, uncle was right. Fixing the wheel, broke, won't roll if I don't. Can I help? 4 years old, tiny, but those eyes were serious. Sure, hold this hammer for me. Pedro held it with both hands, proud as could be, and stayed the whole afternoon handing tools, asking a million questions. Clara showed up later, shyer, but just as curious. What's this for, uncle? That's a wrench, tightens bolts. Bolts like a super strong nail. Exactly. Kids asked 1,000 things, and Ricardo, man of few words, answered everyone with patience he didn't know he had. Helena watched from the kitchen window and smiled for the first time in a year, real smile, full heart. That night after supper, Ricardo started telling stories. Nothing fancy, just cowboy tailies, clever horses, talking mountain lions. Pedro and Clara sat in Helena's lap, mesmerized. Little by little it became routine. Breakfast together, lunch with talk, afternoons with kids helping or making a mess, supper, stories, bed. 1 month turned to 2. The kids filled out, round cheeks, strong legs. Started laughing loud, chasing chickens, getting filthy in the garden. Pedro learned to gather eggs. Clara planted carrots with Helena, hands caked in dirt. And Helena, she bloomed. Blonde hair shiny again, face not so gaunt. She hummed while she cooked, smiled easy. Ricardo caught himself waiting for her to walk into a room, the smell of soap on her skin, the way she pinned her hair, her soft laugh when the kids pulled some stunt. He wouldn't admit it, but he was getting attached to all 3. And that scared him. One night after everyone was asleep, Ricardo rode out to his mama's grave, 100 yards from the house under big oak. Lit a candle, knelt down. Mama, I think I'm keeping the promise. Got people in the house now, noise, life. Kids call me uncle. And Helena is. He couldn't say it out loud. I don't know if they'll stay, probably not. Soon as she saves enough, they'll go. And I'll be alone again. But at least I tried, right? At least I kept the promise. Wind rustled the leaves, and Ricardo swore he heard his mama's voice. It ain't over yet, son, still a long road ahead. He didn't know how right she was. Sometimes the best thing in life is when routine turns into home. Think about that, because a storm's coming. 3 months after Helena and the kids arrived, life on the ranch had its own rhythm. Ricardo didn't think about being alone anymore. The house was loud, kids running, fighting, laughing. Helena singing in the kitchen. He was happy, happier than he could remember. Then one Saturday afternoon, a stranger rode up. Ricardo was in the corral branding cattle when he heard hooves. Looked up, tall, skinny man, black hat, dusty clothes. Something about him set Ricardo's teeth on edge, fake, dangerous. Howdy, the man said with a smile that never reached his eyes. Howdy's help you. Looking for a woman, Helena, blonde, 2 little kids, heard she might be around these parts. Ricardo went stiff. Who's asking? Tomás, her brother-in-law, late husband's brother. Right then Helena stepped out on the porch. Saw Tomás and turned white as a sheet. Kids behind her, she yanked them inside fast and shut the door. Tomás saw and hollered, Helena, come to take you home. Ricardo dropped the branding iron, walked over slow. She don't want to talk to you, best ride on. This ain't your business, friend. Tomás stepped forward, she's coming with me. She ain't going nowhere. Oh yes she is, because she owes me. My brother left debts, big ones, as widow she inherited them. She's working for the family till it's paid. Ricardo frowned, debt don't pass to widows. Does when she co-signed. Tomás pulled out a paper, right here, her signature. Ricardo took it, looked real enough, but something felt off. Tomás kept talking, so hand her over with the kids, they'll work the family ranch, 10 years ought to cover it. 10 years, that's slavery with extra steps. That's justice. Ricardo stepped closer. She ain't going with you, get off my land before I put you off. Tomás laughed, nervous laugh. You don't want trouble with me, pal. I'll be back with the sheriff, with hired guns if I need 'em. 3 days, Helena, 3 days or I come get you myself. He rode off, yelling over his shoulder. Ricardo walked inside. Helena sat on the kitchen floor crying, kids clinging to her. That true? Ricardo asked. You co-signed his brother's debts. She nodded, sobbing. I didn't know what I was signing. He said it was just paperwork, nothing would happen. But then he lost everything gambling, owed money he couldn't pay, and hanged himself in the barn. Left me with the debt. She looked up, desperate. I lied when I said he died of fever. I was ashamed. Didn't want you thinking I was some scam artist. I was gonna tell you, save up, pay my way, then leave quiet so I wouldn't drag you into this. I'm leaving now, I'll go with Tomás, you've done too much already. You ain't going nowhere, Ricardo said, voice like iron. But Mr. Ricardo, he'll hurt you, he'll ruin you. Don't care, you stay, kids stay, I'll handle it. Pedro whispered, Uncle, we gotta leave. Ricardo looked at the boy, at Clara, at Helena, and made up his mind. Number y'all ain't going nowhere. Because from now on you're family, and family protects family. Some choices change everything. Tell me in the comments what you would have done. The showdown's coming. That night Helena barely slept, kept thinking about sneaking out at dawn, grabbing the kids and disappearing. Couldn't let Ricardo get ruined for her mess. But at 3 a.m. when she tiptoed out with their little bundle of clothes, Ricardo was sitting in the dark living room, wide awake. You ain't sneaking off, he said calm, been watching all night. Helena sank into a chair, defeated. Please, Mr. Ricardo, let me go, I can't do this to you. You don't get to decide anymore. He looked her in the eye. Helena, how much is the debt? I don't know exactly, Tomás never said, just that it's huge. Don't matter, I'll pay it. Her eyes went wide. What's no, you can't. I can and I will. Got savings, years of gold coins in a wooden box. Was gonna buy more land. Land can wait, y'all can't. Helena started sobbing. What if it's too much? What if you lose everything? What if I don't care? Ricardo stood, walked over. You three, you changed everything here. This house was dead, I was dead inside. You brought life back. I ain't letting anybody take you. But you barely know us, 3 months. Because my mama made me promise to build a family. I thought that meant marry some girl, have blood kids. Now I get it, family ain't blood, it's choice. I choose you three, I choose to protect you. Ain't no amount of money worth more than that. Helena covered her face, crying hard. Thank you, Mr. Ricardo, I don't know how to ever repay. Don't need repaying, just stay after the debt's gone. She looked up, finally understanding. He wasn't doing this just out of kindness. He cared, really cared. We'll stay, she whispered, we'll stay. Next morning, Ricardo rode to town with every penny he'd saved, gold coins heavy in his saddlebag. Went straight to Tomas's little store on the square. Tomas grinned when he walked in. Come to bring me Helena. Come to pay the debt, how much? Tomas pretended to count on a paper, 500 gold pieces. Ricardo almost choked, 3 times what he had. 500, that's robbery. My brother owed everybody, I covered it to save the family name, now she pays me back. Ricardo knew it was lies, saw it in the man's eyes, but he was trapped. I got 150 cash, rest in payments. No payments, all now, or she comes with me. You're making that number up. Prove it, Tomas leaned in, or I'll make you a deal. Marry her yourself, debt disappears. She becomes mine, I don't charge myself. Ricardo saw red. Tomas didn't want money. He wanted Helena, always had. Using the debt as an excuse. She'll never marry you. Then she goes to jail, and the kids to an orphanage. Ricardo stormed out, rage boiling, but he had a plan. Rode straight to the courthouse, told the judge everything. Truth's about to come out, and it ain't always what we expect. Share this moment, the storm's here. The judge was an old man, 65, white hair, tired but sharp eyes. Listened to Ricardo, looked at the copy of the paper. Took off his glasses, sighed. This paper ain't worth the dirt under my boot. Ricardo blinked, how that? Signatures fake or forced. Law changed 3 years ago. Woman can't cosign a husband's debt without a judge's stamp. There's no stamp. Tomas is lying, debt ain't legal. Ricardo sat stunned, so Helena's free. Always was, man's trying to extort her, that's a crime. I'm issuing a warrant, he'll be arrested for extortion and coercion. She can live in peace. Ricardo could barely speak. Thank you, sir. Don't thank me, I'm just doing my job. But listen, the judge leaned in, men like that don't give up easy. He might do something stupid before my deputies get him. Go home, protect that woman. And be ready to testify. I'll testify to anything you need. Ricardo rode home relieved, but on high alert. Judge was right. Cornered dogs bite hardest. He crested the hill at dusk and saw smoke. Heart stopped. The barn was on fire. Helena running with buckets. Kids crying on the porch. And across the yard, Tomas on horseback holding a torch, grinning. You wouldn't pay, so I'll burn it all till you hand her over. Ricardo jumped off Cinnamon, charged. You crazy. Crazy. I just want what's mine. Tomas threw the torch at the house, missed by inches. The 2 men crashed together, fists flying, rolling in the dirt. Tomas younger, stronger, but Ricardo had fury and right on his side. Blood in his mouth, but he kept swinging. Helena screaming, kids wailing. Then hoofbeats. Sheriff and 4 armed deputies galloped up. Freeze, the sheriff yelled. Ricardo and Tomás broke apart, panting. Sheriff waved a warrant. Tomás Ferreira, you're under arrest for extortion, coercion, and now arson. Hands behind your back. Tomás looked around, surrounded. Slowly raised his hands. As the cuffs clicked, he spat at Helena. You'll regret this. No, Helena said, voice steady for the first time. I already regretted plenty. Running from you ain't one of them. Tomás was dragged away. Deputies put out the fire. Barn was gone, but the house stood. They could rebuild. When everyone left and night fell, Ricardo, Helena, and the kids sat on the porch, exhausted, filthy, but alive. It's over, Ricardo said. You're free. Debt never existed. Helena cried, happy tears this time. Now what? Now we rebuild the barn, plant again, we live. Pedro tugged Ricardo's sleeve. Uncle, we still get to stay. Ricardo looked at the boy, at Clara, at Helena, and made the final choice. Pedro, Clara, you don't gotta call me uncle anymore. Pedro's eyes went wide, scared. Why not? Because I got something to ask your mama. He turned to Helena. Helena, I know we barely know each other. I ain't handsome, ain't rich, ain't nothing special. But I've fallen in love with you and these kids. I want you all to stay, forever, as my real family. Marry me not for convenience, not out of gratitude, but because I love you three with everything I've got. Because my mama made me promise to build a family, and I can't imagine a better one than this. Helena laughed through tears. I love you too. Yes, yes, I'll marry you. Pedro and Clara whooped and jumped like it was Christmas. And for the first time in 38 years, Ricardo knew what it felt like to be whole. Love ain't always love at first sight. Sometimes it's built brick by brick, choice by choice. Tell me in the comments what you felt right now. The wedding was simple. Little church in town, preacher half asleep, half a dozen neighbors as witnesses. Pedro and Clara held the rings Ricardo bought with what little savings he had left. Helena wore a plain white dress borrowed from a neighbor. Ricardo in his Sunday best, pressed neat. When the preacher asked, "Do you take this woman?" Ricardo said loud and clear, "I do with all my heart." When he asked Helena, she looked Ricardo in the eyes. "I do, and I'm thankful every single day I found you." They kissed. Kids cheered. And right there in that humble church, a real family was born. Life on the ranch changed. Helena wasn't a guest anymore. She was the lady of the house and owned it proud. Planted more flowers, fixed up the garden, sewed new curtains. Ricardo rebuilt the barn. Neighbors came to help, bringing gifts, welcoming the new family. Pedro and Clara grew, started calling Ricardo Dad, natural as breathing. He taught Pedro to rope calves, taught Clara to milk cows. Every night he told them stories before bed, no exceptions. A year passed, then two. Helena got pregnant, had a boy they named Joe after Ricardo's daddy. 2 years later came Sofia. The house that used to be silent turned loud, full, perfect. Pedro, now 7, helped his dad in the fields. Clara, same age, helped her mom with the little ones. They knew Ricardo wasn't their blood daddy, but it never mattered. Love ain't blood, it's showing up. One afternoon fixing fence with Pedro, the boy asked, "Dad, did you ever meet my first daddy, the one who died?" Ricardo stopped, knelt down eye level. "Didn't know him, son, why?" "Sometimes I try to remember him, but I can't, makes me feel bad." Ricardo put a hand on his shoulder. "Pedro, listen, you were tiny when he left. It's normal not to remember. But one thing I know, he loved you and your sister. And me, I love you with everything I've got." Pedro hugged him tight. Ricardo knew right then, he'd kept the promise all the way. Family ain't who makes you, it's who raises you, loves you, protects you. Think about that. Epilogue's coming. 10 years after the wedding. Ricardo 48, Helena 36. Pedro and Clara 14, Joe 9, Sofia 7. House expanded, 4 bedrooms now. Ranch grew, bought more land, more cattle. Not rich, but comfortable, real comfortable. Pedro turning into a man, tall, strong, serious like Ricardo. Clara beautiful, smart, Ricardo scared off suitors with a glare. Joe all trouble and grins, Sophia quiet, book smart. One evening after everybody was asleep, Ricardo and Helena sat on the porch like they did every week. Talking kids, land, future. You happy? He asked sudden. Helena looked surprised, so happy, why? Sometimes I wonder if you regret staying, marrying me, if you ever think what your life could have been if you kept walking that day. Helena took his hand. Ricardo, listen. Before you I was lost, scared, hungry, ready to die. You didn't just save me, you gave me life again. A home, love, 4 kids. Regret that, never. You're the best thing that ever happened to me and these kids. They sat quiet, watching stars. You know what I was thinking, Helena said. About your mama, that promise. I think she knew you'd find us. Maybe Mama was always sharp. We ought to visit her grave tomorrow, take the kids, say thanks. Yeah, let's do that. Next day, Sunday, the whole family walked to the grave under the big oak. Ricardo kept it perfect, clean, fresh flowers always. Kids gathered round, Helena held Sophia. Ricardo spoke. Grandma, I know you ain't here no more, but I want you to know, I kept the promise, built a family. He pointed at the kids, 4 grandbabies, 3 by choice, 2 by blood, but loved exactly the same. And this woman, he looked at Helena, she's the reason I wake up happy every day. So thank you for making me promise, because without you, I'd have died alone, cold and empty. Pedro, big 14-year-old, wiped a tear. Joe and Sophia didn't fully get it, but they felt it. Helena laid fresh flowers. Thank you, Miss Lewisa, for raising the best man I ever met, and for giving me this family. They prayed, then walked home. That night at supper, Pedro said, Dad, when I get married I want to build my house right here on the ranch, close to y'all. That okay? Ricardo grinned, Course it's okay, son. This land's big enough for everybody. One day your kids'll build here too. Clara laughed, then you'll be the old patriarch everybody respects. Hey's who you calling old? Everybody cracked up. And Ricardo knew that noisy table full of food, love and life was exactly what his mama wanted. The greatest inheritance ain't land, it's family. Drop a comment if you agree. The real endings close. 20 years after the wedding. Ricardo 58, grey hair, back a little stooped, but still strong. Helena 46, still the prettiest woman he ever saw, few silver strands in her blonde hair. One Sunday the whole family gathered for lunch. Ricardo tapped his glass till everybody got quiet. I need to say something. Room went still. You'll know I found Helena, Pedro and Clara on the side of the road 23 years ago, hungry, lost. I brought em home thinking I was keeping a promise to my mama. But truth is, I didn't save them. They saved me. Before y'all, I was alive but not living, just working, eating, sleeping. Empty. You kids taught me how to live again. He looked at Pedro and Clara. I want to thank you too, for letting me be your dad. Thank you, Helena, for letting me be your husband. And thank all you grandbabies for keeping this story going. Helena squeezed his hand, crying. Ricardo, we thanked you every day. And one more thing, this ranch, when I'm gone, it belongs to all of you. Not just blood kids, everybody equal. Pedro and Clara got the same share as Joe and Sophia. It's all written legal in my will. Pedro shook his head. Dad, you don't have to. Yeah, I do, because you two are my kids in my heart. I want the world to know. Tears, hugs, love thicker than gravy. After lunch, Ricardo went to the grave alone. Knelt down like always. Mama, I'm getting old, tired but happy, so happy. I kept the promise, found out you were right, family ain't blood. It's choice, it's love, it's waking up every day and deciding to stay. Thank you for making me promise. Best thing I ever did. Wind moved the oak leaves, and Ricardo felt his mama smiling. He stood, dusted his jeans, walked home to his family, to the life he built brick by brick, choice by choice, promise by promise. Promises ain't burdens, they're seeds. Plant 'em right, they grow into trees that shade generations. Think about that. Epilogues waiting. 30 years after the wedding. Ricardo 68, body slower but mind sharp. Helena 56, hair all white now, but those blue eyes still the same. One Sunday afternoon they sat on the porch. Ranch had grown huge, 7 houses now. Pedro had 4 kids, Clara 3, Joe 2, Sophia newly married and expecting her first. 23 people living on the land, a little village of family. Helena asked, "You tired?" holding his hand. "Little, but it's good tired. You built all this, you know. We built it together." They watched grandkids play in the yard. A 5-year-old granddaughter, Pedro's, ran up. "Grandpa, tell me the story." Ricardo smiled, pulled her onto his lap. "Which one, darling?" "How you found Grandma." He looked at Helena, she nodded, eyes shining. "Okay, once upon a time there was a lonely man. He had land, a house, but no life inside him. Then one day he found a woman and 2 little kids on the side of the road, hungry, scared, lost. He could have ridden on, but he didn't. No, why? Why, Grandpa? Because he'd made a promise to his mama to build a family. And that woman and those kids, they were the family he didn't know he was looking for. So he said, "I'll take you and your kids to the ranch." Gave Ems food, a home, love. And over time they became a real family, got married, had more kids, built all this you see here. He waved at the houses, the land, the people. And it all started with one yes, with the courage to stop, to help. So always help people, baby girl. Because helping others is how we help ourselves. The little girl ran off to play. Ricardo and Helena sat quiet again. "You think your mama's proud?" she asked. "I know she is." 5 years later, Ricardo passed in his sleep, peaceful, no pain. Helena holding his hand. All the kids, Pedro, Clara, Joe, Sophia, there. Grandkids too. House full, like always. Funeral was massive, half the county showed up. Ricardo had become legend, the man who picked up a starving widow and 2 kids and built a dynasty. Buried next to his mama under the big oak. On the stone Helena had carved. Ricardo Silva, 1847, 1915. Kept the promise, built a family. Taught us love ain't blood, it's choice. Helena lived 15 more years, saw great-grandbabies, watched the ranch become a landmark. When she passed, she was buried on Ricardo's other side. 3 grave together, forever. 100 years later, the ranch still stands. Now a big modern operation, but the original house is preserved, a family museum. Every year on the anniversary of Ricardo's death, hundreds of descendants gather. They tell the story of the lonely man who found a starving widow and 2 kids on the road. Of the promise that changed generations. Every year they plant fresh flowers on the 3 grave, say thank you, and renew the vow. Family ain't blood, it's choice, love, and kept promises. And that's how the story of Ricardo and Helena lives on, not in stone or paper, but in every child, grandchild, great-grandchild who learned the greatest legacy ain't land. It's the guts to stop on the roadside, reach out a hand and say, "I'll take you and your kids to the ranch." Because some promises never die. If this story touched your heart, hit subscribe and like so more people can hear it. This channel is all about stories straight from our people's souls, and there's always another one waiting for you.